So, about a year ago, a little longer than a year ago, somebody had the bright idea to send me this quad to do a review on. I like it. It's been fun. I was surprised by the motors. I didn't think I'd like them, but they've since impressed me greatly. I'm testing these 5-inch indestructible props right now. Normally I fly the HQs or the FC props. I'm testing a cheap $20 video and transmitter setup on it. It's been a great test bed. It's got the Naze 32, the Afro power board, and it's the standard EMAX Nighthawk setup. I've really enjoyed it. The landing gear all ended up falling off, and I just made some zip tie ones. But that's the biggest problem I've had with it. It's taken a lot of abuse and crashes and held up really, really well. And it's just my go-to beater now. So I like it. Well, a week or two ago, I was surprised to get a message in my inbox from GearBest saying they'd like me to review the new 280 Pro version, which, well, unfortunately comes as an ARF, almost ready to fly, so I don't get to have the fun of building it. Not a huge deal. A lot of people prefer having things pre-done for them. I just happen to like getting into the nitty-gritty and soldering and building. But I couldn't turn it down. I had to see how it compares to its last year's model. So, I'm not going to unbox. I've already got it out. And it's pretty impressive right off the start. I like what I see. There's a bunch of other stuff that came with it. We'll get to that in a minute. But I'm going to sit down and give some first impressions here. Compared to the 250, it's really similar. They called this a 250, but it really is a 280, just like the new one. I don't have my metric ruler handy, but it really is 280 from motor to motor. You put them up against each other, and they're really about the same size. The new one's a little longer from here to here. This back section with the transmitter sticks out a bit further, but otherwise they're close. The new arms don't have any cutouts, and I think this has changed, because I could have sworn in the original photos I've seen of this, they had a lot more cutout in the new arms. But they're solid arms. There's more meat around the motors, and they're thicker arms. Well, wider arms. The thickness of the material is really the same. That's the same. And it's the same material as this one, which isn't the carbon fiber one. This is the hybrid material, which is G10 with a veneer of carbon fiber over the top of it. We can confirm that real quickly. With a quick continuity test. We'll just put it in beep mode so we can... Hi, where's my beacon? There we go. Don't know how well that shows up on video, but I'll move it over closer. Beeping shows we do have continuity. And if I test this material on the edge of the arms, we shouldn't get any continuity because it should be G10. Yeah, there's nothing there. Now if we go right out to the edge, we'll probably get something off the carbon fiber right on the edge. Yeah, right on the edge there we'll get something showing that is carbon on the edge. And in the middle, G10, which, as I said before when I reviewed the original one, I kind of like. I've done a number of G10 frames and carbon fiber frames, and I really have nothing against the G10. It tends to bend and deflect in a crash. It's not quite as stiff, so for all performance it's not necessarily as good, but it has its benefit in that for a beginner it'll really hold up to a crash well. And I was concerned originally on this that the veneer of carbon fiber over the G10 would degrade that, because I was afraid that the stiff stiff carbon fiber over the more flexible G10 would take away the flexibility of the G10. But in practice, I haven't had a problem with that. This has been through some really rough crashes onto pavement, onto desert rocks, and it's holding up just fine. There's a few scuffs and scratches here and there. I've lost a bolt on each motor, I think. No, this one still has all four. But overall, it's really held up well and taken a lot of abuse. So I have no problem with that material. It's a little heavier than carbon fiber, but I'm not looking for ultimate lightweight. I'd rather have something that will handle a crash, because I crash a lot. I do. The new build, the big thing they did is they went for real tight integration on this. Everything is on this main board. The power distribution, and I really like the XT60 built right in, so you can just plug your power right in, no dangling cords, no mess. I like that a lot. But it's all very tightly integrated. Everything's right there. And I'm still a little torn on that. And I'm looking forward to trying this and seeing how it works out for me, because I'm not entirely sold on the idea of putting everything on one board. All four ESCs are right there, nothing to wire. The motors have plugs on them, so you can just plug them right into the board, so you don't have to solder anything there, even if you replace a broken motor. Which is nice, quick, easy, good for repairs. I'm just not sure how I'm going to feel about my big concern is these are 2204 motors. My previous one had the smaller 1806 motors, and these are the bigger motors. They'll draw more amps, and these are still 12 amp ESCs built in on this board. And it comes with 6-inch props, 6045s, and I'm just a little concerned that 6045s on 2204s are going to be pushing those 12 amp ESCs pretty hard. We'll see. It's been pushing 120 out past couple days. So if I can get this out and give it a good hard thrashing here, it'll be quite the torture test to see how it does. But it's practically ready to fly out of the box. I haven't turned it on, hooked it up, anything yet. Don't know what kind of tune is on it yet. It basically looks like you should be able to throw props on it, hook up your receiver, and go fly. But let's take a look at what comes with it. And I'm not going to be flying it tonight, obviously. It's dark already. And I still have to set up my receiver on it. I still want to review the firmware on it and see what the settings are by default. And, give it a once over before I fly it. But it comes with 2 bags of parts and a manual, which is a nice step up from the 250 last year. That came with a single sheet with almost no information on how to put the frame together or anything. They really could have just left that out for all the good it did. But now they've got an actual manual. It's the Chinglish is definitely in effect here. It's not exactly easy to follow. Because the power cannot transmit in time to avoid video transmitter burnt out, please install the antenna before power on when testing and using video transmitter. Yeah, good common sense there. You don't ever want to turn on a transmitter without an antenna, and that's their way of saying put the antenna on before you power this thing up. I don't know if the transmitter's powered by default. There's a lot of power switches all over this thing. 1 here, 2 down here, 1 up here. I'm not sure how many others. There might be a few more. But it definitely has a lot of switches. And this one is off by default, this one is on. So I'm guessing one of those is for the light, one of those is for the transmitter probably, but we'll just have to see. They seem to include just about everything you could need here. We don't need empty bags, but I guess we'll start with bag A. There's a good spot to start. They start you right off with propellers, 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise. The box says they're 6045s. Let's take a quick look at them. They do say 6x4.5. They're kind of interesting. They're a matte finish, not shiny. They feel pretty beefy. They're heavy, a lot heavier than my. This is an FC prop here to compare with, and here's a HQ prop to compare with. All 6.45s, and they look very respectable to me. I mean, it looks pretty good on the shape there. Very similar to the FC, but you know, the HQ is basically an improved version of the FC, so they all definitely look similar. Let's give them a quick, just to see how balanced they are out of the box, because I'm kind of curious. I'll throw them on the balancer here and see. We'll just throw one on. I'll do them all later to get a better idea, but just for now, we will get this guy on here. And let's see how he does out of the box. We got a heavy blade. Not bad. It's pretty. Not too far off. Let's throw a little bit of tape on there and see if we can't get it. Let's see. I'll throw it on our leading edge. Just a little bit of tape there. It's like a 1/4 inch of tape. And that's got us pretty close right there. That's a bit further out of balance than the FCs I usually fly. The HQs, you know, HQs are great. They're a little pricey for me, so I don't fly them all the time, but they very seldom need any balancing. There we go. So that took about 1/2 inch of tape. We're looking pretty darn good there. Hub looks pretty balanced. We're holding well. So that, not the best balanced prop in the world, but looks like a pretty good prop to include by default. We'll see how long they last once I get it up and start crashing it. But for now, I'm pleasantly surprised by these props. That I was expecting some gem fans or something like that. And these, maybe they're the new gem fans or something, but they definitely seem a step up from what I was expecting. So thumbs up there, EMAX. Nice job. I like that. Bag A is plus in my book. Let's find bag B. Bag B, Nighthawk Pro accessory package. Battery, zip tie, Velcro, and straw tube for receiver. 1 piece each. So we have a EMAX Velcro strap for the battery. Pretty standard. It's not rubberized or anything, but seems like your standard battery strap. We have a bit of expanding tubing. I guess that's the straw tube for the receiver. I'm not sure just what you do with that on the receiver. Maybe clean up the wires. Not that I'm good at cleaning up wires. And Velcro for a battery. So, nice of them to include all of that right there. Definitely stuff that'll help you get up and flying right away. Bag C. Now we're looking like stuff that's going to be needed here to get in the air. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different cables. No explanation of what they are, other than 8 position, 6 position, 5 position, 2 position red brown, and 2 position orange red. So let's see what these are here. I have to assume these are for hooking up. Yeah, this would be for your receiver. And this has got your, probably this is the only one I'll need because I'm going to be running PPM. So we got power, ground, and signal. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives us 6 signals and power. So obviously it's ready to go on PWM as well as PPM. And I'm guessing there's a way to do serial on here, but I haven't even looked at the manual yet, so I don't know where to do that yet. What else have we got here? We've got another one with, again, standard 3-wire servo and 3 extra wires. Here's one, and that one was a smaller connector, so that's for something else, obviously. This one just comes off to single wires, 5 single wires, and here's our 2 singles. So I'll have to get through the instructions and come back and see what these are all for. Obviously the 8-position one is for the receiver, and I'll probably be taking most of those off because I haven't run a PWM receiver in a long time. I'm not entirely done. Yeah, probably going to do one of my homebrew PPM receivers on here. So that was bag C. Let's go ahead and take a look at bag D. We've got our transmitting antenna for the video transmitter. And since we don't want to power anything up without that, let's go ahead and get that bad boy on there right away. I want that on. Nice of them to include the safety cap, keep it clean. Our lock washer on. Get back on there. And we'll just go with their antenna for now. I can never remember which way is left hand polarized, which way is right. But let's take a quick look here compared to one of the cheapy antennas I've been flying with. And we are opposite. No, we're the same. We're the same. So whether I'm left or right, we're still left or right. So my existing antenna should have no problems receiving from this. So that's a good bit of knowledge there. Okay, bag E. We even get a USB cable. So that's nice. Not that I need another USB cable, but hey, always room for another USB cable, right? So we got a USB cable with it. That is one thing I've seen in some of the reviews. Some people have had the USB connector come off right away on them. So let's just give it a quick, it's a little snug fitting, but it stayed on, so passes the first test. There we go. That was E. We'll move on to F. And this is the receiver antenna mount. You can see this in the pictures. They have the 2 little antennas coming off. I won't be needing this with the setup I'll be flying, but it's good to have it if I upgrade to a different receiver at some point. So that's a nice little goodie to have. G is the Mobius mount, just like on the previous version with the Mobius mount up here. It's the same deal. It's for 5. They always include a spare. Thank you, EMAX. 5 rubber bobbins and a mounting plate. So it looks like, yeah, this is pure G10. This is not even, on last year's model, they had the carbon fiber over G10 on the plate. This one, it's just G10. But, you know, carbon fiber would save weight, but that's G10 anyway. It's just for looks, and I don't care for looks. So I'm happy with that. That'll help me get some video footage with the Mobius on there. And that was bag G. H. This, I didn't expect this to come in a bag. These are the 10-degree motor mounts. I thought these came pre-mounted on the Almost Ready to Fly, but apparently they changed their minds, and they are just plastic mounts. Nothing wrong with them. They got metal inserts, and those would screw on under the motors. I assume you'd want them all tilted forward, but they look like they might be square. Yeah, they're square, so you could tilt the motors in to try getting a bit more stability. That might be a fun experiment. Try them rotated with the 10-degree tilt inward for stability versus mounting them. Oh, I don't know. Well, try this thing. No, because these aren't straight tilt, they're kind of angled. So you definitely want to use them as intended. And yeah, they're numbered to M4, M1, M2, M3. So these are designed to go just on one corner to give you a forward tilt so that you can get that speed up for racing. And I included the screws for them as well. So we'll give those a try. I'm glad that they didn't come by default. I've never flown with them before, and I'd love to try this without them first. So I'll try those eventually, but first flight we'll do without. That was bag H. I don't see a bag I or J. I don't know if they... Let's see. This is a little different. This lists bag I is camera. Oh, wait, here we go. Almost ready to fly. Okay, I see. Yeah, I and J are only for the ready to fly version. So those aren't here. But we have K, which is a 10-degree motor mount and screws for using it, which would just go right in there so that you can get the nice tilt on your camera when you're flying fast. So that's good. Don't even have to deal with washers and longer screws or all the usual stuff. You can see on this one, I'm still running straight on this one, but I just used some long screws with some rubber tubing on my hex, which I do tend to fly a bit faster. I do have some tilt going on, and for that I've just squished those screws up tighter to get some tilt on there. But I really need to be doing some adjusting on that. It's far from optimal right now. And finally we got bag L, which is spare parts. One each of every size fastener used. And that's nice. That's just like on the 250. EMAX was good enough to include spares. So here we are. And just for fun, let's, we don't have a receiver on yet. We don't have motors on yet. We aren't going to be able to do much of anything here, but let's see if we can get some lights and beeps. I've got a 2200 right here handy. And we will just, for fun and giggles, go ahead and plug it in. And there we go. We got lights. Hey. Looks like things are talking. This one didn't seem to come up, but this switch is off, so that could be why. I don't like flipping the switches while things are powered, so I'm going to power it off and flip that switch on. I noticed we didn't get any lights either back here, so I don't know if that switch is for the lights or if that switch is for the ESC. Let's see what happens now. Or maybe it's for the transmitter. Don't know. Ah, 'twas the lights. Now we have lights. My connector's a little tight there. Wow, that was bright. Nice and bright. Maybe I should do some night flying. Maybe I should get the... No, I don't have lights up front. Nothing else. That's not enough light for me to fly. Wow, that is bright. I wonder how many crashes that'll hold up for with me. I like it. I hate to see it die when I kill it, but I'm sure I will eventually. Because I do tend to be hard on things. But looks like we're all up and going. I'll have to get my... yep, that's on. I can feel some heat there. Have to get my goggles set to the right frequency, tune into this thing. We'll have to hook it up to the computer and see what... Now, I believe it's base flight on here by default. And I'm going to try it with all the defaults and see how it does before I start messing with anything. But overall, first impressions are definitely favorable. I'm liking what I see here. The EMAX motors seem just as nice as their 1806s. They're a little bigger than a Cobra 2204, which I'm running on the hex here. A little beefier, might help them stay cooler, which is always nice here in the desert. One thing I did notice is this is a little heavier than my 250 from last year. Let me grab the scale real quick and we'll show that. Okay, back with the scale. I don't know if it'll be readable. Sorry, the light's pretty lousy in here tonight. Doing this after my daughter's asleep. But we'll power up, switch to grams, and we're gonna weigh. This guy can go up right side up. We are at 430 grams with the antenna on, and this is ready to fly basically. Other than props, let's. Yeah, we need some props on here. Just to be fair, I'm not going to bother tossing the spacers. They have an extra gram or so for that. 450 grams, we'll call it, in the air before battery. So it's a little heavy. It feels substantial. It feels bigger than the 250, even though it's almost the same size. So that's kind of interesting. 250 on the scale. We'll have to go upside down on him because of the legs and everything. And I come in at 346. I'm running slightly smaller propellers. If we were running those, we'd probably be in the 350. So we're about 100 grams heavier on this, which is kind of surprising because, I mean, look at that mess. Look at all that wiring I got going on in there, all of that junk. I've got 2 battery straps and I've got my Mobius mount. And I haven't put the strap or the Mobius mount on this guy yet. So I'm not sure where that extra weight comes from. I'm sure the motors are a big part of it because these are much more substantial motors. 2204 to 1806, you know, that's a big difference right there. But that'll all more powerful as well, so that'll definitely help make up for the extra weight. And that is clean. Look how clean that is. All this space, nothing going on. And you could most likely. Yeah, you can fit a 2200 in there. I wouldn't fly this with a 2200. I'd probably max out around an 1800. But it's, I may fly it with the 2200 just to see how it does. You can fly with your battery inside on this thing. I kind of like that. It's definitely an interesting setup. I'm not huge on the video transmitter hanging off back here in a crash. That's just asking. You know, that's just the connector right off the transmitter. That's asking to break in a crash. I wish they'd mounted that up here. They include 2 holes where you can mount up an antenna now, which was something lacking on the original one that I was not big on that one. So I'm glad they're finally including the holes. I don't know why they aren't using them. It's seems kind of odd, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to try and set up my receiver tonight, take a look at the firmware on here, get the props mounted up, and with a little bit of luck, I'll have it in the air tomorrow sometime and get some video and some first impressions of how it flies. Not much I'm going to be critical of so far, other than I'm worried about the 12 amp ESCs, and if I had my way, I'd have all normal rotation motors. I don't like the reverse threads. Yeah, they self-tighten, but you lose one of these and good luck replacing them. The reverse thread in these sizes are hard to find. I've never been able to replace them on the previous one because I just can't find them in that size. Now, these are probably 5mm, while those are 3, so I can probably find reverse thread 5s, but that's one thing and it's a personal thing. A lot of people really like the self-tightening reverse thread nuts. I'm just not a fan, but you know, no points off for that. Just no bonus points in my book for that. But it does bring out the ESCs. That's probably what that one wire's for. They bring out the ESCs on a header. It says it in the manual, it calls it an inspection port, but I'm guessing that's bringing out the signals. So you can probably bypass the built-in ESCs if you end up frying them or something, which will be nice if that happens. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to get this guy in the air and see how it does. We'll see. and I hope it does as well as I'm expecting it to, because I'm looking forward to giving it a good thrashing and getting it out there and doing some FPV with it soon too. So stay tuned.